Oh my god, I'm coming in really hot today because there's so much I gotta get out. Gotta get it out really quick, or I'm gonna forget it all. But there's just the connections are connecting. Okay, William Barr, the guy, the mysterious guy, amidst all of this, like everything, he connects it all. He connects what's going on with the Russia stuff with Donald Trump to the Epstein cover up to oh my god, to so much. But between it all, he was masquerading as. Let's get into this. Let's get into this because this is wild. And what's really wild is that there hasn't been one journalist talk about this man as of yet. As of like 5 minutes ago, on July 23rd, like unless one comes out later in the evening, I have yet to see one. It's crazy. Okay, it's just crazy what this man has done, what he's hidden. He himself has hidden. Because I went back in and looked through it, like with this William Barr guy, because he was like one of the attorney generals Trump selected in his first term, right? Well, you see, in his first term, like I said, I didn't keep up with the MAGA stuff back then, but I'm only going to assume that Trump really wasn't looking into the people he was picking. He wasn't making very informed choices, but from what I can understand, or he really does have some skin in this game that he's trying to hide. Either way, I can't speculate on that. I'm here to talk about what they want us to forget about. But real quick, let's recap what Tulsi Gabbard revealed, alright? She revealed that the DNI at the time, like, this is when Trump wins the election, November 2016. Obama's still the president. Hillary Clinton loses. I'm not sure what Obama had to gain by doing all of this, unless it was the reptiles in power telling him to do it. I don't know. You tell me. But he does it, and there's evidence of it now. Basically, the director of intelligence at the time was James Clapper, and the director of the CIA at the time, hold on a minute, was John Brennan. He was the director of the CIA. And then the director, another connection, the director of the FBI, James Comey. None other than James Comey, who had a part to play in all this as well. Get this. Check this out, right? Their intelligence is actually, this is what their intelligence was actually telling them at the time. That it was Hillary Clinton that Russia had information on. Like, Russia didn't give a crap. Russia didn't want us to succeed in anything that we did according to the intelligence at the time. Now, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if that intelligence was true either. But there was no intelligence anywhere saying that Putin and Trump were working together. None whatsoever. And there was no intelligence saying that they could or that they wanted to tamper with the results. What they said was they actually believed Hillary Clinton was going to win. Russia did. Putin. He honestly believed Hillary Clinton was going to win. And he had all this damning information on her that he was going to release if she won. Now, she said some of this stuff, and a lot of it was a little strange. Not going to lie. This seems very criminal in my opinion. I'm sure there was more to it that Tulsi wasn't revealing at the time. But, I mean, right, let me not get off track. But what she did reveal was that Hillary Clinton apparently, what Russia, the intelligence from Russia revealed, that Hillary Clinton was actually having secret meetings with religious institutions, that the State Department was financing them, and that their financing would increase if they would back her in the election. Now, maybe I'm dumb. I could be dumb. I didn't know the State Department provided any financing whatsoever for religious organizations. That's confusing. I thought our Constitution was pretty clear about that. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe there's something I missed in my civics class. I don't know. But why is the State Department financing a religious institution? I don't know. Maybe there's other reasons. That was interesting. But anyway, don't want to get too hung up on that. That's not really the point of the video today. And then you all know, go look at the press conference. Tulsi revealed with some evidence that Obama, after they got the intel, had a secret meeting to spread this Russia hoax propaganda machine. And it's been pretty ongoing. I'm not going to lie. I think even I myself, had it in my head that, that had happened. Not anytime recently, because I've been a lot more aware of things going on in the last 6 months than I've been in a little while. But, I believe there was a time I had that in my head, too. So, it worked. Because, everyone else thought it, too. You know what I mean? Come on, let's face it. Trump and Putin kind of, I don't really know a lot about Putin. But the few interviews I've seen him in, it's I don't know, he does have a similar-ish personality to Trump. Not saying it's a good or bad thing. I don't know anything about him. I'm not inclined to believe he's evil, like all these news organizations say. However, I'm not also inclined to believe that he's our friend either. I don't think he's either. I think it's really whatever. Anyway, that's just my business. I kind of like Russia, but that's just my opinion. Okay. So let me get back to this. So they reveal all that they, start this hoax, right, with Russia. Well, here's some context, right? William Barr, at the time, this is because you see, this is a few years later when all this Epstein stuff happens from the Russian hoax, though, right? However, though, it's still, propagating in the news, a lot. They're not just talking about it it's a probability. They talk about it like it's a fact. In fact, they say that it's conspiracy theories if you say that it didn't happen. It was wild. It was such a weird backward reverse tactic. They are clever. I'm telling you. This is why we got to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because listen, they really play on that. They play on people who don't want to believe that people would sell out children of a nation. They don't want to believe that. And I don't want to believe it either. But listen, you cannot deny it, though. If it's in your face, it's in your face. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But outside note, I apologize about the background noise. It's my fan. And I'm sorry, guys. It's hot. It's only for a month or so. And it'll start cooling off more. I'm sorry. But let me read this CNN article from 2020. This is not just a few months after this is just a few months after Epstein had already, passed. And look, it all starts to connect in a minute because he was essentially behind all this shady stuff that we don't understand. William Barr. And I was a little surprised myself. I was more expecting more involvement from others. And I'm sure I'll find more the more I look into this. But I'm focusing on Mr. Billy Barr right now. And by the way, this is all my opinion. Please don't contact anybody. Please don't, this is all my opinion. Please. Okay. Over the past several months, aides have discouraged Trump from firing Barr. This is a CNN article from 2020. So yeah, this is kind of the last kind of stretch, the last few months of his first term. And as you can see, it seems to be there's a lot of people working against him. Of course, maybe these aides didn't have any reason to believe that Barr was bad news at the time. Hindsight's always 2020, but I don't know. With CNN, you'll see what I mean. CNN really inflates this William Barr. And it's odd because William Barr is supposed to be such a right-leaning guy, and CNN, typically doesn't. It's almost they almost make themselves sound gosh, our enemy's he's beating his underdog. It's oh, come here, let me put my arm right. It's okay, we got your back, man. We see you're trying. You're doing a good job. Good job, Billy. That's the vibe CNN is giving me with this article. But you'll see what I mean. Okay. So, yeah. The aides, whoever is working for Trump, is discouraging him from firing Barr. They don't give a reason why he wants to fire Barr. He just seems to want to fire him. I guess we'll find out more. The president seemed to find a compromise way of seeing Barr out by tweeting about his, quote, very good unquote, relationship with him. And CNN's like totally like trying to call it out. But the two men's relationship was not, by aide's estimations, very good. Trump on Friday again told officials in a meeting he wanted to fire Barr, and over the weekend did not seem moved off his position. That's a little strange, like how they know like all this like detail, you know what I mean? I mean, to be perfectly fair to Trump, in all honesty, he could want to fire him because of these weird, shady articles. I mean, I don't know. With all these, like, backward-ass things. Like, they literally, like, talk about Trump as if he's, like, a monster of the free world, and everyone just knows this, even though he was elected by vote. But, of course, at this time, they're trying to perpetuate that he wasn't. Ugh, it's crazy. It's just... It gets confusing, and they do it this way on purpose. That's why you just got to bear with me while I, we all sort this out together. But the two men's relationship, okay, I already read that. Trump on Friday again told officials, I'm sorry, I just read all of that. See, I need to stop getting off on these tangents because I get distracted. Another person familiar with the matter described the meeting as cordial. Earlier that day, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany said in an interview on Fox News that Trump had been frustrated with Barr in recent days. I mean, like I said, with articles like this, that's really no big surprise. In his letter, Barr said that... Hold on, guys. I'm going to turn this fan off. I'm sorry. Okay, there. I turned it down. Is that a fair compromise? I hope that's a little better. Okay. In his letter, Barr said that the allegations of voter fraud would continue to be reviewed, despite affirming earlier this month there had been no widespread evidence of widespread fraudulent voting. He also praised the press. Okay, this is 2020, remember? Because, like, right at this point, now, like, they were kind of perpetuating Trump and Putin rigged the previous election. At this point, Trump's insinuating that the Biden and Trump election may have been infiltrated. And Barr is here telling CNN that it would all, be reviewed and whatnot. But there's no widespread evidence. It doesn't say there's no evidence. It's just there's no widespread evidence. Like, I mean, is there or isn't there, like, evidence at all? Widespread or not? Small evidence. Is there small evidence of fraudulent voting? Your record is all the more historic because you accomplished it in the face of relentless, implacable resistance, Barr wrote. Really trying to make it look like he's Trump's buddy. And like I said, hindsight's 2020. We all know this isn't true now. But I mean, this article here is a little bit of a clue. CNN doesn't typically talk kindly of any of Trump's cabinet, period. So maybe it was just like kind of like a hint to Trump. Like, this, you can't trust this guy. Like, look at how they're comparing. Like, they're turning William Barr into a martyr, essentially. Okay. No tactic, no matter how abusive and deceitful, was out of bounds. Whoa. See what I mean? He totally wasn't on Trump's side. That's obvious. Like, what? No tactic was out of bounds, no matter how abusive or deceitful. Like, what? The nadir of this campaign was the effort to cripple, if not oust, your administration with frenzied and baseless accusations of collusion with Russia. Oh, okay. I see what he said. Sorry. My bad. Okay. He's talking about the tactics of the other side, not of Trump. Okay. My bad. I misunderstood at first. It was a little confusing at first, but in the context, it makes a little more sense. Okay. Moving on. So here we go. Now we get into, CNN, trying to, you'll see. Okay. A staunch defender, Barr repeatedly and unapologetically prioritized Trump's political goals while furthering his own vision of expansive presidential power. I'm talking about Trump, I'm assuming, because Barr wasn't president. In his most notorious move, Barr delivered a misleading summary of special counsel Robert Mueller's report, essentially clearing Trump in the Russia probe, which drew a sharp rebuke from Mueller himself. So this is what I mean. Like, CNN is saying that William Barr is giving a misleading summary. And maybe it was misleading. It probably was, because there was a lot he apparently left out of it. But at the same time, he's trying to play both sides here. You know what I mean? He's trying to, like, keep Trump happy, or at least make it appear like he was on his side, while at the same time, I don't know, like, because he was clearly subverting something here. Like, he was the Attorney General. He had access to all this information. He remained steadfast in his support of the president heading into Election Day, including by launching various operations across the country to combat violence and drug trafficking, and reiterating Trump's message not to participate in mail-in voting prior to the presidential election. He also appointed a special counsel to continue investigating one of Trump's longtime infatuations, that intelligence and law enforcement violated the law in investigating the 2016 Trump campaign. I mean, what? Sorry about that. I mean, it's not really an infatuation. Like, we kind of find out it's really not just an infatuation. He was really onto something, come to find out. But the decision from former Attorney General to rebuke the president's false claims of widespread fraud in his loss to Democrat Joe Biden represented a final failure of Trump's often successful attempt to weaponize the Justice Department as a personal and potent political weapon. So basically, Trump wants him to investigate this fraud, and we're like, William Barr refused. He's like, no, not going to. And CNN is literally, accusing Trump of trying to weaponize the Justice Department. I mean, and like, maybe he did. I'm not, saying he didn't. I'm just saying, like, it takes a lot of nerve, because it seemed like the problem was happening. Like, I'm going to go on record here. I don't really think Trump, like, really knew what he was in for, like, his first term. That's just, like, from what I gather. Like, I think there's a lot of people he thought he could trust. Because, like, I've met rich people before. Not quite as rich as in, like, Trump's league. That's not, but, wealthy people. I mean, like, and I've noticed, like, something with them. It's, like, because they're surrounded by a lot of people who really kiss their butt, because it's a thing. Like, people kiss, like, the butts of rich people when they're around them, and, like, smile on their face, flatter them, all this stuff. And so, and then sometimes the rich people, like, end up trusting, like, the biggest butt kisser, and it's usually the biggest, like, butt kisser that's usually the one you need to watch out for. Like, in my experience, at least. And it seems like Trump, maybe, he kind of grew up, like, more or less in a privileged family. I imagine, it wasn't very hard for them to trick him at first. However, though, with that said, Trump's very smart, and he, from what I can tell, I'll give him his props. He's very smart and clever, and he didn't give up, and he's back. So, I doubt that they're going to be able to pull the wool over his eyes again. At least I hope. Oh my God, I hope. Hopefully I'm not being too optimistic. Okay, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, he said. The president was frustrated with his attorney general's comments to the Associated Press. I'm sorry, we're in a new article now, the Associated Press. I don't know how that got clipped in here. Okay. But they had a contentious, lengthy meeting at the White House the day they were published, according to a person familiar with the meeting. By early December, Barr was considering leaving his post before January 20th, the day Trump leaves office, A source with knowledge of the matter told CNN. And keep in mind that, like, this is all, like, just, like, a year and a half after this whole Epstein thing. And, like, he was, like, you know, part of all that investigation. Barr was. William Barr. He was part of all that investigation. Just, you know, he was the Attorney General. He was what Pam Bondi is now. So, and, like, I know I've had my own criticism for Pam Bondi. But, like, really, she was left with this mess. No matter who, like, what she's lying about now, she was left with this mess. We need to remember who started this mess. And it's this guy right here. Okay. But listen to this. Because, like, after this meeting, this is what a source said. That Barr, the Attorney General, said that he is not someone who takes bullying and turns the other cheek. Like, is that a threat? And they published it in CNN. It almost makes you wonder if this is like a public threat to Trump. You know what I mean? I don't know. Can't help but wonder. Okay. Mueller objected. First in a letter to Barr, then in a public statement, and again when he testified to Congress last year. Barr's rollout did not, quote, according to Mueller, did not fully capture the context, nature, and substance of this office's work and conclusions, unquote. This is what Mueller said. And the special counsel had documented multiple links between Trump campaign officials and Russian government-linked people. So it seems like, at least with this situation, Barr played his cards, like, with the wrong hand or whatnot. I'm sorry, whatever that phrase is. Because it's almost like, seems like the deep state's a little, like, ticked. You know what I mean? He was like, dude, you're supposed to have my back here, Will. Or Bill, whatever you call him. Come on now. But you see, William Barr seems kind of, like, smarter maybe than Mueller. Because he's, like, kind of, he's done this in just a certain way where he's, like, playing both sides in just a certain way where he doesn't fully implicate himself, but yet he's not totally clean. You know what I mean? Those, like, real shady scumbags. He's, like, that guy. Okay, and then, so, like, with a month or 2 months left in office, Trump gets John Durham as the new Attorney General. I don't know much about that guy, but his name is familiar. His name is super familiar. I don't want to say where I think I remember his name from, because I could be wrong and I don't want to start no rumors. So I'm just going to hold off on Mr. Durham. Save him for another video. See what part he has to play in all this. But, and then and keep in mind, this is another article. This is, like, and they're calling it an infatuation. It almost seems like one of those trigger words that they use. That double down on one of Trump's longtime infatuations. That national security and criminal concerns about his campaign and Russia in 2016 sullied the legitimacy of his election and presidency. And it did. He was right. That's not like an infatuation. It's like a fact now. CNN. It's a fact. God, either you guys are, like, the worst journalists on planet Earth, or you're deep state. I don't really see an in-between. I'm not trying to force a false dilemma here, CNN, but you guys suck. I mean, but don't feel bad. You're not the only ones who suck. There's many others that suck too. Okay. In a letter to the president, Barr said he is proud to have played a role in Trump's administration and said he would depart December 23rd. So that only leaves, like, the Durham guy, like, a month to do his investigation. Whatever he's going to do. I mean, apparently he didn't really, because, I mean, like, we're just now finding out 4 years later, 4 years later. But this article repeats again. Earlier this month, Barr said that the Department of Justice found no evidence of widespread election fraud, directly contradicting Trump's baseless claims that Democrats stole the election. Ahead of the election, Barr had stood by the president, repeating his unsubstantiated claims that mail-in voting was ripe for fraud. Wait a minute. How is that unsubstantiated, dude? How is, like, that is like a fact. Like, you're literally putting your vote in the hands of other people, multiple other people, when you're mailing it. It's like, what do you mean? It's not unsubstantiated. You're unsubstantiated, CNN. You really are. Sorry, this isn't CNN. Where are we at now? I think we're on Time, or one of them. I'm sorry, I'll put the links below. But there's like 3 different articles we're reading through here, so. Okay. Barr joined the administration halfway through the president's term and quickly emerged as one of Trump's most loyal and effective defenders. But he came under intense criticism from Democrats and many in the legal community, including even current federal prosecutors, for actions that raise questions about the department's independence. So, like, they're basically saying, CNN's kind of like, insinuating, I guess, that the Department of Justice should just be able to do whatever they want without any accountability. I don't know what they're trying to insinuate. Who knows? Okay, so now we're moving on to Time. This is the Time article. Now, this is when we get to talk about when William Barr was appointed to lead the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And we find out why that could be a big, big problem. And it did turn out to be a big problem. It did. And I wanted to make sure I got screenshots of this whole article, before they took it down, given everything that's going on. And it was kind of hard to find. Like, you Google William Barr right now, you're not going to find these articles right away. You're going to have to, like, dig, or find your search and stuff, because they really, like, do what they do, what the deep state does. They put everything in the deep. Okay. Oh no. Did I clip these out of order? No, I don't think so. Whatever. We'll just start from here. Okay. At William Barr's confirmation hearing, remember, Trump had gone through a couple attorney generals at the time. William Barr was the next one up. I don't know who suggested him. Who knows? But, someone asked him if he could investigate the handling of, like, Jeffrey Epstein's, that sweetheart deal where, like, all of him and his co-conspirators, like, got off scot-free. Which is interesting, because the guy who did that deal was also in Trump's administration at that time. So I'm kind of curious who asked him to do that. It's weird, because it's like, surely Trump knew about this, right? I would think. He would have had to have known about the sweetheart deal. He lived in Florida. Acosta was his Secretary of Labor. So I don't know what he's got going on with Epstein. I really don't. But either way, William Barr says he has to look into it. Like, he's like, I don't know. Let me see. I might have to recuse myself from it. There might be a little conflict of interest here. I might not be able to do it because that whole case, maybe not me, or maybe some people I work with, my firm was involved in it. I don't know. I have to look into it. I might have to recuse. Which he did recuse it from the Florida case, but not from the New York case that was currently happening at that time. Even though we find out who William Barr is in connection to Jeffrey Epstein. William Barr, his dad, is the one who gave him, Jeffrey Epstein, that math teaching job without any degree whatsoever in that real prestigious school. It was William Barr's dad. It was his dad. Isn't it funny? Maureen Comey, who was prosecuting him, it was her dad. It was her dad who was the head of the FBI. It's like, you see what I mean? Like, I think they're all part of this weird cult. I mean, in my opinion, allegedly, like, of course I don't know these people. I wouldn't know. But, like, these can't all be coincidences. Like, this whole thing stinks to high heaven. And, I'm struggling like you guys are to come up with an answer with it. All I know is my eyes see what they see. There are these connections. Alexander Acosta, William Barr. working on the Trump administration at the same time in the first term when Epstein was murdered, more or less murdered. Like, what the hell? And then that warden? The warden. Like, let's talk about the warden for a minute. Where are they at? Not like, But anyways. Barr's tenure as Attorney General has left a large segment of the country with questions, not just about DOJ, but also about where his personal loyalties lie. Like, whatever that means. Given his misleading summary of the Mueller report, no matter how objective his leadership is in this matter, there will be doubts about the outcome. Conspiracy theories, including those retweeted by the president, will continue to circulate. And we'll have one more situation that erodes the already ebbing faith that people are willing to place in the institution Barr leads. Dude, it was past ebbing at that point, I think. It's like tanked. Okay. We are in a dangerous place if people no longer trust that the Justice Department is doing justice. Well, then why weren't you doing justice then, huh? And yet, it's past his prologue. He will not recuse. When it emerged during his confirmation process that he had sent an unsolicited memo to the DOJ and the White House arguing that it cannot be obstruction of justice when a president does facially lawful acts that involve an exercise of his constitutional authority, like firing an appointee, many people, myself included, suggested he take himself out of the running to replace Jeff Sessions. He did not. Now, AI, I don't know how much we can trust AI, but here's what AI has to say. Upon learning of Jeffrey Epstein's apparent suicide while in federal custody, August 10th, 2019, then Attorney General William Barr announced that he was appalled and stated that Epstein's death raised serious questions that must be answered. Barr announced that the FBI and the Justice Department Inspector General would investigate the circumstances of Epstein's death. He also stated there would be accountability for any failures at the MCC. Yeah. Which they did not, actually. No one faced any accountability. They just got moved around, got placed on leave. Like I said, the warden was just placed in another prison, even though you can't find out anything about the person. I don't know if that's standard practice for wardens, but I don't know. It's weird. Especially with all this going on. So yeah, and he's the one who removed him, too. William Barr removed the warden of the MCC at the time. Like, why'd you remove him? Why remove him? Like this whole thing stinks. And what stinks the absolute most, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Trump's team not being direct about this, because you would think it would help them to be direct about it, or that none of the media have brought up his name, which I guess that doesn't really stink. That's pretty typical, right? I guess that's pretty typical of them. But nonetheless, like, this is the only thing I can say, and I'm going to leave it at this. I've never, and this is William Barr himself, by the way, I've never in my life seen so many different people from so many different organizations, so many, try so hard to make people forget about child trafficking. They literally talk to us as if we're the ones who just dreamed this all, like we're the sickos who dreamed this all up and want to talk about it as if we what is wrong with you, people? Like, what is wrong? Like, seriously, you're depraved. And I don't know, in my heart, maybe that's the little glimmer of hope that I have in humanity, is that the reason maybe that they haven't talked about it like they should is that, of course, no one wants to believe that it's happening. But it doesn't really matter what anybody wants to believe anymore. We know what's happening. We know what's happening. And these families, these weird families, people like William Barr, his dad, Maureen Comey, her dad, like all these weird connections and shady ass behavior. It's immoral. It is immoral. It's despicable. And I hope we've all learned our lesson that the deep state very much goes to great lengths to deceive us by putting people like William Barr in these positions to fool us, to play in our face, to act like he's on your side while behind the scenes he's helping the enemy. They do this stuff. Wake up. I'm not yelling at my friends. I know you guys already know. I'm yelling at the people who have joined a little late because, I don't know about you all. I'm just tired. And it's not just the people on the internet, actually. It's people in my own personal life, too. That just, their whole attitude about it just stinks. It gets on my nerves. It's like their whole attitude is like, well, nothing's ever going to happen. There's no going to be justice. So there's no need to get all worked up about it. Well, if everyone had that attitude, nothing would ever change. Nothing would ever change. And they want us to feel that way. They want us to feel like our voice is insignificant, like it doesn't matter. They want us to feel that way. Because they know that all throughout history, it's always ever been voices, good people doing the right thing. Like, things have turned around. The deep state has been overthrown so many times. Yes, it keeps trying to crawl back in. That doesn't mean we stop fighting it and just let it. We got to get back up, like when we get beat, just like the enemy does. Like this is what it is. This is what it is. And it's game time, everybody. It's game time. Like, you want to wait for 400,000 more kids to go missing? I just did a video about that. That's the population of, like, Miami. That is a astronomical amount of missing kids. That the few people who do know about it don't seem to give a shit about it. They don't talk about it. But I'm never going to stop talking about it. I'm never going to stop talking about it. So I feel like someone needs to care about those kids. I do. I care about them. I want them safe. And at the very least, at the very worst case scenario, if they are no longer with us alive, they deserve to be respected with a burial or something. To be found, to be remembered, like, to not be forgotten. Like, one of my family members told me the other day that I need to stop letting this consume me. But how could you not let it? Our children are our future. Like, how is there not every mother out there right now demanding answers on these missing kids? Everyone's so worried about Epstein. Everyone's so worried about the dumb freaking missing minute. Everyone's so worried about everything that doesn't really matter. And the kids whichever ones that are still alive out there, is like wondering what if everyone forgot about them. And it's sad because it's like they have. And these people have something to do with it.